Does this mean we're better now than we were in 1702? And if not, what's the point?
Well, I think that, and this is probably way away from mainstream, but I think the innate emotion or energy that we all are, every single human life form, plants, animals included, is love. The vibration, the energy called love. And the highest form of love is allowance, acceptance. And I think that our lessons on coming down here from lifetime to lifetime is if we experience something that we judge to be horrible, that we have guilt about, then that houses in our soul. And we have to come back again until we can have that experience and be in love with that experience. Meaning, you may hate that experience, like your dog being run over, but you accept that experience as a full experience consciously. So you accept it as, oh my God, this is so painful for me, but I allow this to be. Because tell me what not is God.
Say that again. Tell me what?
Tell me what God is not.
What God is not.
And what that means is that you enlighten the soul, and you become your pure source. Ultimately, and that to me would be enlightenment from anything. And I feel that if you reach a lifetime, and as you progress lifetime to lifetime, you reach a lifetime where you totally learned your lessons, or you turn the judged experiences, where have guilt and judgment, as I'm a horrible person, to, all right, that's an experience. And I allow myself to be that frees you up, and therefore you leave the cycle of reincarnation. That's just a belief.
I am not convinced, because that would ultimately smooth over Dachau and Charles Manson and the Mafia and all the horrible things that happen every day on this trouble.
Well, let me ask you something, Steve. Yeah. That's a good point. Your God, whoever that may be or whatever that may be, looks at Charles Manson or whoever, and does he say, "You are a bad boy, I'm going to punish you"? Or does he say, "This is an experience. It's not the highest, for sure, because you killed my children. Learn a little bit better"?
I think you'd lead to the idea that maybe all of the living experiences that people go through were positive. They could have been very discordant. And so now we have a person who is truly evil that is coming back into this fray of ours. And maybe that explains where the Charles Mansons come from. They've had a series of horrible lives. Terrible lives. Well, that's because their spiritual personality becomes that. But that would drive your own personality.
You can make all the Charles Mansons you want right now, even if there's no reincarnation, by subjecting them to the same kind of childhood he had, and it produces monsters. Many of them, fortunately, end up in our prison. Not all, unfortunately.
Well, we have some monsters that came out of the finest homes, too.
True, but there is a direct correlation between growing up in a urban or any kind of a jungle and the kind of person you are at 18, in which case you're probably a serial killer or rape. I mean, Freud was not wrong about everything. You know?
Right, exactly. But and to answer my question, what does your God do? How does your God deal with evil?
Well, I don't know that it does. I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out the concept of God. I again have to say that I have a high respect for what I consider to be spirituality. Meaning, when I use the term spirituality, concentrating or an understanding that there's more to life than the physical life we live. There are morals, there are ethics, there are values, there are ideals, there are things which transcend the human experience, which are bigger than all of us together. Great things that we should see together, great ideals we should strive together. So I put the word spiritual. I'm not sure that's an adequate word, but that's the only one I can come up with.
Well, in the spiritual thing, I do think one of the things that feeds it nothing is what we do mostly, and that's tradition, ceremony, and rote.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I agree.
This is a meaningless gesture. What it is saying, I'm being godly. And you're going to have to do anything that you want to, but you put on the cap or whatever. You know.
No, I totally agree.
You know, this is a marvelous forum, because we're going into areas that's not much talked about in this depth in the mainstream media, unfortunately. Do you think that it is? Do you think that there's information being withheld from that source that the American public views? I didn't see on Jay Leno, the talk about this.
Well, I can only speak for myself. I tend to shy away from conspiracy theory. There are actual conspiracies, but there aren't as many as I keep reading about and hearing about and running into in cocktail party conversation.
Theories are facts.
Well, conspiracy theories that everything would be fine if we got rid of all the Catholics or the Jews or the tall people or whoever the capitalists, whoever.
It's the
there's a blank line.
It's the short people.
Get rid of them too.
But nevertheless, conspiracy theory is very energizing. The populist movement, as it calls itself, the hard fanatical right, as even other conservatives call it in this country, get 90% of their energy, at least, from the sense that they are being conspired against. You can just say to them, black helicopters, and they fly around the room, or New World Order, or whatever, and they would never give that up, even if God himself said, wait a minute, I've got a buddy now and then, this is really stupid, stop that. They would say, to hell with you, God, we're getting a lot of...
They have investment in that.
Yeah.
However, on the other hand, if I was a powerful person involved in some sort of devious conspiracy, the thing that I would want to do first is to get that kind of thinking out there, that, conspiracies, terrible.
Right.
That's right. I would want that thinking permeating the media.
Exactly.
I would really
and
want
that we do hear a lot of.
Yeah. It's about the Air Force officer the other day who was trying to explain and close the book on the Roswell incident. And he said it really wasn't that. It was little dummies we dropped as an experiment from the airplane in 1953, except they landed in 1947. Well, so we found a little time warp there, and he said, well, how do you explain that? He says, well, everybody has a little time compression problem of remembering things that happened that long ago. Well, I don't.
That man would appear to have been a dunce, however...
A real dunce.
His ignorance doesn't resolve the issue.
No, it doesn't.
But more people should read magazines like Free Inquiry, The Skeptical Inquirer. They are science-based, and many of the editors and writers are formal and proud atheists. For those who give a damn, I'm not an atheist. I simply don't know. I'm an agnostic, which is quite a separate category. But there's not enough application of scientific thirst for evidence. We are never going to run out of remarkable assertions. Some of them will turn out to be right. Many of the scientific truths perceived as such today were considered preposterous when they were first brought up. Yes. So just because something sounds wacko, you should never say, therefore it is, and I'm not going to ever look at it. Keep an open mind, as we've already suggested.
Good name for a show.
I thought it was.
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order.
This is the end for you, my master.